Today is Wednesday, Parashat Miketz. Typically the parasha of this week, Miketz, is read during the holiday of Chanukah. And there is a connection between the theme at the beginning of the parasha and the holiday of Chanukah. Beginning of the parasha, Pharaoh sees these two dreams that are very perturbing to him. He sees 7 fat cows being swallowed up by 7 thin cows. He sees 7 ears of grain that are fat and plump, and they're being swallowed by these 7 very thin, dry ears of grain. And the dreams really bothered Pharaoh a lot because his country was an empire at the time. He was the most powerful country, probably with a formidable army. They were the ones who built the pyramids there. They had a lot of, it was all about might and strength. And what didn't make sense is that these thin cows would swallow the more powerful and the fat cows, and it didn't make sense. A country that was such a power in terms of in the world at the time is all about might and physical strength. So that one of the reasons why these dreams bothered him a lot. So Chanukah, we have, in a way, a similar situation where, as we say in the Al Nisim that we add in the Amidah and in Birkat Mazon, that Hashem gave Rabbim be'ad me'atim. There were big armies in the hands of a handful of the Hashmonaim. So we see that the physical strength, Giborim be'ad chalashim, the strong ones were given in the hand of the weak ones. And Yosef explains the dreams to Pharaoh about the 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And Pharaoh appoints Yosef to be in charge as his second in command of the country. And as this story goes through the parasha, towards the end of the parasha, there is a portion that on the surface of it doesn't make sense. Yosef has his brothers come to Egypt to get some provisions. And Yosef recognizes them, but they don't recognize him. And on the second time that they come, he had his cup, his goblet where he drinks, he had it put in the bag of Binyamin. And then he sends messengers to catch up with them to find the cup in the bag of Binyamin and to bring him back. This whole thing doesn't make sense. Why is it cruelty that he has towards them? Is he taking revenge? No, actually what he's doing, he's giving them an opportunity to be metaken, to fix and correct through their teshuvah what they did by selling him. Binyamin was his brother from the mother Rachel. The others were from Leah and from Bilhah and Zilpah. Would they act just like they acted when they sold him, when they threw him into that pit, and they sold him when he was sold to Egypt? Would they leave Binyamin behind and go back to their father and claim it's not their fault? It's this ruler of the land of Egypt that took him as a captive. Or would they step up to the plate and show that they really have done teshuvah? In this case, Yehuda, who was the one who gave the advice to sell him, is the one that steps up at the end of this parasha and the beginning of next parasha when he offers himself as a slave instead of Binyamin, showing how he did full teshuvah and how he's totally, quote-unquote, rehabilitated in terms of the way that he acted before and the way that now he's willing to give himself instead of Binyamin. And that was a proof that they really have come all the way around. And it was a proof to their righteousness. So what Yosef does by putting the cup in the bag of Binyamin is actually for their benefit, to show not just in potential, but in reality, that they're willing and they've totally come around in terms of teshuvah, and in terms of fixing something that they did when they caused him to be sold to Egypt. And a parasha with some beautiful content of a fascinating story, but there is behind just the Pesukim and the story itself, there's a lot to be learned from this parasha. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.